I think there's something about the Christmas season that puts us all on the same quest for this kind of idyllic and yet elusive idea that we call home. We'll travel vast distances and overcome all kinds of crazy obstacles so we can get home for Christmas. What's behind that longing? I think it's the very fingerprints of God left on us by virtue of our creation. That we were created by Him and for Him. And so we long to find home with Him. Let's talk about that today at Terraforma Church. Stick around. Hey, good morning. Welcome to Terraforma. I'm Justin. I'm our pastor, and I'm privileged to welcome you to the live stream today. We are coming at you in our second week of the Advent series, and we're thrilled to welcome you as a part of our community today.
And makes the nations prove the glory of His righteousness and wonders of His love, and wonders of His love. We will sing joy, we will sing joy, we will sing joy.
Hey, Terraforma, as we receive our offering, I just want to remind you, Christmas is a season of generosity. Your church will be engaging in a story of generosity as we move toward the needs of some of our scatter partners. Every year, we say yes to Jesus. And we kind of express in this worshipful sense our gratitude for everything God has done by giving in a big way. And so it's exciting for us, the trustees and the elders, to look at these opportunities that are kind of prayerfully coming our way and to kind of figure out, where can we say yes? Where can we do this? And we can do this, we can give in many times a big way for such a small church because of the way that you give. We budget in such a way as to make this available to say yes to the needs of God. And this is all part of the story that you're helping us write together as you give. Your generosity is telling a story of generosity paid forward, of God's people moving towards the needs of the people around us. And so we welcome your gifts. We appreciate your generosity, and I pray that God would bless you as you give. You can give at terraforma.church/give. You can give through our Terraforma mobile app. You can give through the mail. And at the end of the year here, it's helpful for me to remind you too, we also receive gifts of stock, and there's a pretty exceptional tax benefit to giving in that way. God bless.
A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees, or hear the angels' voices. Oh, night divine, oh, night when Christ was born. Oh, night divine, oh, night divine.
Good morning, Terraforma. Merry Christmas, everybody. And I just want to encourage you all, we are celebrating in this Christmas season the coming together of heaven and earth. It's what our church has been all about since day one. And I just want to encourage you, man, this is a really great opportunity to invite friends and neighbors to join us on Christmas Eve, December 23rd. We will have an online service that night. We will live stream, and we're excited about this. We have a lot of incredible elements, great music. It's going to be just a beautiful, beautiful celebration and a great opportunity. So here's my challenge to Terraforma family people. Find a neighbor, ask them out, like on a date. Like come to church, and then go, get some dinner or something afterwards, or have somebody over. It ends in plenty of time. We'll be done by I'll only preach for 4 hours. So just, get in, get your holiday church on, go home. It'll be an incredible moment for us to do this together. This is what we're doing. We're celebrating this idea that heaven and earth have come together in the person of Jesus. And we tell this story around our tables. We tell this story in the rituals and the traditions that we inhabit this time of year. And so we want to do that this morning. I'm going to read you a passage of scripture from the prophet Isaiah. And before we do that, I want to talk a little bit about this word. And it's going to be a difficult thing. Today's going to stretch the limits of your imagination, I think, on some level, because we hear about peace, and we tend to do two things with this word. I mean, you hear this word, this Hebrew word shalom, all throughout the Hebrew scriptures, where things are as they're meant to be, where everything is right in the world. And you do two things with that reality. One is you resist that reality in your heart and mind because you want to be realistic. And you say, no, this world is so far from peaceful. I mean, we don't have peace anywhere on the globe right now. I mean, there's so much strife, there's so much violence, there's so much uncertainty, there's so much tension. Just all of this discord seems to be sown into the very fabric of the human heart. Human beings contend one with another for power, for dominance, for control. And that is true globally right now. I mean, in a way that it hasn't been true in a lot of years. And I mean, thinking about this, I thought to myself, well, geez, when was the last time? I kind of looked back over even just my short life, and I'm very young, by the way. Very, very young. Don't let the grace in my beard fool you. But it feels to me like we've been in a prolonged season of incredible tension. Like, it's tense right now. It's tense around, some of you are worried about the tension that's going to hit your holiday table. Like you're going to have relatives come, and because of this weird echo chamber thing we've done now, your relatives have become these weird extremists. Of course, you haven't. You are the most like centrist and balanced individuals who can see all sides at the same time. You have this supernatural ability to consider, counterpoints of view, and you're so well-rounded and integrated, you would never become extreme in any of your views or opinions or attitudes. But your relatives, particularly your in-laws, there's no guarantee. Everybody's got that one dad, uncle, somebody, and you know what? If you don't know who the person with the extreme views at the table is, I just want to tell you, it's you. You're the one. You're ruining Christmas for everyone. And there's so much tension. There's so much tension. I look forward to gathering with family. I really do. I have in just my family, my immediate family, I have people that are a little right-leaning, people that are a little left-leaning. And when I say a little, I mean a lot. And it's going to be an interesting combination of everybody together for Christmas time. And sometimes I feel like I'm stuck in the middle. And this is even the most trivial. We talk about peace on earth, and you want to fight this idea with this realistic sentiment of do you even Twitter, Justin? Don't you know? Do you have social media? Peace on earth. Are you crazy? The other thing we do when we push back on it with this realism is we sort of pretend that peace on earth means something like a Hallmark movie. There are many people here. Some of you love these. Some of you loathe them. I can almost predict, based on do you love them or loathe them, where you would fall. And this is one of my big objections to a lot of what Christians put out as art in the world, is it doesn't seem honest to me. And hear me out. I get the same feeling about some country music, not all, but some. There's like this artificial sweetener quality to it, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like there's a sheen, it's like we're pretending that everything is a little too nice and everything is just like too quaint and good. And you're like, but wait a second, the world isn't always this like beautiful little thing. And every single Hallmark movie has this idea like we're going to wrap up every plot line in this neat little way, and the magic of Christmas is going to descend on us like snowflakes falling from the sky, and we're going to finally fall in love. And don't worry, the loss that you experienced before, it won't even matter because magic is here and romance is happening. And in a small town just like this, to a girl just like me, right? So I think we feel stuck, many of us, between this like realistic idea and this like kind of hopeless ideological, like idealistic, unrealistic idea. And we're like, but what does this look like for peace? And here's what I want you to understand. I believe, this is what I really believe, and I don't think I'm alone in terms of people who read the scriptures in this view, but I also think I might disagree with other people who read the scriptures. Because sometimes when you read the scriptures, you might come away with a view of our future that looks a little bit doom and gloom because you want to be in this kind of realism camp. And like the world is getting worse and worse and worse until it's going to come to a cataclysmic end and Jesus is going to return as a judge and just smite everybody and finally burn up the bad people. And maybe the story you tell yourself is actually, if we could just round up all of the evil and just get them all in one place, and then all the good people would be left to inherit the earth. The problem with that view is the line between who is good and who is evil runs on the center of every single human heart. And so there is no them. That's not true. That's not real. That's the convenient story you tell yourself where you're always not the villain, you're the hero. That's movie land. That's not really how the world works. All of us have inside of each of us this incredible capability for profound brokenness and unspeakable beauty, and that is the human condition. And other people will read the scriptures and they'll say, like, well, I just, maybe through what we're going to see here is this idea, like, maybe because we're created in the image of God, we will at some point, through our own ingenuity and our own technological advancement and our own evolution culturally and intellectually, we will rise from the dust of our primitive creation to establish some sort of utopian future here on earth, and it will all be as it should be, and that's finally where we will find peace. And what I see here, and this is what begins back 2,800 years ago in this passage from a prophet named Isaiah. And I just want to tell you before we read this came from a moment in time that was insecure and anxious and uncertain. At the moment this was given, this oracle was delivered, before it was written down, it was spoken, to a little nation called Judah. And this nation was engulfed in so much strife and anxiety, so much uncertainty. The Assyrian Empire has kind of like a hungry lion kind of crouching at its borders, and it's licking its chops, and there's no way this tiny little nation called Judah can repel the Assyrian war machine. There's no prayer to survive this. There's no miracle that can happen. There is certain doom, and that certain doom is coming. Matter of fact, this situation was created because Judah was a rival with the nation of Israel, which used to be one nation. They were divided, and now Judah and Israel are kind of like rivals for contention in this one tiny little space in the world. And there's another kind of contemporary nation at the time called Syria, and they're kind of pressing in on this side. And because Judah is so insecure about Israel and Syria, Judah thinks, well, I'm going to appeal now to the superpower in the region, Assyria, and I'm going to make an alliance with the lion to defend me from the wolf. It doesn't really work if you're a lamb. Like, I think at the end of the day, that lion who came to save you is just going to eat you for a snack as well. And this is the problem. The problem is that somehow we have to deal with the fact that all of the human things that we do, all the plans that we lay down, all the striving, all of the hope in our own ingenuity, in our own progress, in our own activity, maybe it will amount to nothing. And yet here is this idea of hope. Hope that became central for 800 years to the understanding of how shalom, how peace, how God was going to work the story towards resolution in a way that is beautiful. And this idea of shalom is not just the absence of conflict. It is where things are right, things are as they should be, where God and humanity are in this kind of beautiful, interdependent dance of oneness, where all creation is being redeemed and all that is wrong is being set right. Where, yes, it's been always winter but never Christmas, but here in the Christmas story, things finally begin to be set right. And somehow Isaiah is looking forward 800 years into the future through time and space to imagine how this is going to come about. And I think that in this passage, is the secret not only to peace on earth, but peace in here. I think it begins in our hearts. I'm going to read this to you. Isaiah chapter 9, verse 1. Nevertheless, there will be no more gloom for those who were in distress. In the past, he humbled the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, but in the future, he will honor Galilee of the nations. Now, it's so easy for us on this side of history, 2,000 years after Christ, to see how this is dripping with references to Jesus. Now, if you don't know the Jesus story, just trust me, it's dripping with references to Jesus, okay? And if you know the Jesus story, you're going to go, oh, that, and that, and then that. And I want you to understand, I don't think the Hebrew people who heard this the first time had anything about Jesus in their minds. I think they were focused on someone, his name is Hezekiah, this young kind of boy wonder prodigy of a king. But you look, after Hezekiah dies, this promise remains, and it kind of cooks in their ethos, their kind of cultural zeitgeist, until one day there comes a baby born into straw poverty under the shadow of this big palace that Herod had up on the hill in this little town called Bethlehem, the city where David, their high watermark king, was from. And that little baby grew up to be a remarkable human being who showed a revelation of God the world has never seen before. And that perfect vision, the second Adam that fulfilled in every way the intention God always had for what humans could be, walks in utter unspeakable perfection, and then gives his life, his sinless, beautiful, unmatched story in payment for the debt, the chaos, the violence that we've unleashed on God's good creation to set everything Right. And then they go, oh, that's what this is about. Not just Hezekiah, there's something else happening here. And all four of the gospel writers point back to this. And in one place or another, they reference back to Isaiah's prophetic hope here. Here we go. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned. You, speaking to God, you've enlarged the nation and increased their joy. They rejoice before you as people rejoice at the harvest, as warriors rejoice when dividing the plunder. And this is very poetic, but I want you to pay attention. There's a subtle shift happening here. The prophet kind of builds up our imagination in a certain direction, and then we're going to switch. Okay, now just time out for just a quick second here. Humans often imagine what peace would look like in terms of winning. You maybe have told yourself this. Well, this is what I need for peace in my house. I finally need everybody just to do what I want them to do. Maybe you even told yourself, we would have peace in my marriage if she would just do exactly what I want her to do. There would be no need for conflict because I would win and we would be at peace. Maybe you're the type who says, no, it's not. It's actually me. I'm the center of our family, and as long as I get what I want, everyone else can have peace. And if I don't get what I want, no one will have peace. Okay? This is the idea. I mean, the idea is like, okay, well, when we get who I need in power, when we win, when my side finally triumphs over the other side, and if you're married in this place, maybe you've had the experience before of winning the conflict and losing everything. Like you stand over, I have been declared the winner of this conflict. I am right and you are wrong. And you look over at the person who's supposed to be your lover, and in the process of you winning, you've crushed them somehow and taken from them, and somehow they're less. You won nothing. In that reality, you won absolutely nothing. I won the argument and I slept on the couch. You are such a winner. Should give you a trophy and a ribbon. You win nothing. That's not how this works. There's not enough winning to be done here. And so I think Isaiah intentionally pulls us out into this idea of like, oh, we're talking about here like warriors who win the battle. And we're like, that sounds good to me. And then here's where it turns. Warriors rejoicing when dividing the plunder. Verse 4. For as in the days of Midian's defeat, you've shattered the yoke that burdens them, the bar across their shoulders, the rod of their oppressor. And you didn't grow up, most of you didn't grow up as a Hebrew from ancient Palestine. So when you hear about Midian's defeat, you all know, that's referring to the story of Gideon from the book of Judges. And they ripped this off for the movie The 300. Here's the basic plot. God wants them to know He and He alone is their protector and their deliverer. So they're facing an army of tens of thousands, and slowly this leader named Gideon, his forces are supernaturally dwindled down to only 300, and it's going to be only a miracle for these 300 to defeat the tens of thousands, and they do. It's remarkable. It's like, oh, wow. So this Midian's defeat refers to this battle where they are completely, in human terms, totally outmatched. And there's no hope for deliverance. But God. Now, remember who's hearing this right now? The people of Judah who are looking at Assyria, leaning over like a lion's jaws closing around them. There's no hope for rescue at all. Or is there? Maybe it's possible that God can do what we can't. Maybe it's possible that the end of our ability is the beginning of His. And that when we surrender to the story and say, God, I just need your help. I have no idea what to do from this moment forward. Save me, rescue me. He will. Every warrior's boot, verse 5, every warrior's boot used in battle and every garment rolled in blood will be destined for burning, will be fuel for the fire. And now here's the switch. Okay, we're going to achieve peace, and here's how it comes about. because you're finally going to crush your enemies. You're finally going to win. You're finally going to defeat them. Not what it says. Here's what it says. For to us, a child is born. To us, a son is given. And the government will be on his shoulders. And he's going to be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Shalom. And of the greatness of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom, establishing it and upholding it with justice and righteousness forever. And just here's a little free tidbit here too. Those two words, justice and righteousness, those are the two kind of cultural realities. That's like the ethos of the covenant that God gave to Abraham way back in the day. They're to be people that hold in one hand justice and the other hand righteousness. This is supposed to like define the nation. That as God weaves the story of redemption, what he's looking for are a group of people that would be about justice and righteousness. So I'm going to treat the human beings here on this earth in a way that recognizes their divine value and the image in whom they were created. I'm going to see everybody as they should be seen and treat them like they should be treated. And I'm going to walk in justice. There's a very social element to this. And righteousness is I'm going to walk before God in a way that is upright and good. I'm going to relate to him in terms of surrender. I'm not going to grasp for my own way. I'm going to walk in his way. I'm going to trust him to tell me what is right and what is not, what is good and what is not so good. And this is he's like pinning this whole thing together. This is not just this idea that someday there's going to be, a special king that's coming. It's like everything in the story has been driving to this. And it's the zeal of the Lord Almighty that will accomplish this. These people were anxious and afraid. They were uncertain about what was coming next. And here is this idea. It's a suggestion 800 years before Jesus is born that there's a coming king, a Messiah, a deliverer. That's what that means. And I want you to understand that I think everyone imagined that the coming of Jesus, I think everyone imagined that when the Messiah came, it would be in terms of a military conqueror, some kind of revolutionary leader. Even the very followers of Jesus, the ones that we now call the apostles, these first disciples of Jesus, they believed up until the very end that Jesus was probably going to start some military coup. They were ready. They were ready like up till the day he died. They were like, okay, so when do we pull our swords out and start cutting Romans? This is their idea. Their idea was like, he's coming with all these X-Men powers. We've watched him walk on water. We've watched him raise the dead. We've watched him heal. We've watched him do all these things. He seems to command the wind and the waves. When does the revolution begin? Because we're ready to go draw some blood. We want to win. We want to triumph over our enemies. And instead, he seems to sort of surrender to the bad guys. And he doesn't seem very concerned about like pleading his case or being right. If you were to sit in the argument between, the high priest and Jesus, you would say, Jesus, you need a better lawyer. Like, you're not even defending yourself. Nothing they're saying is true. Like, fight back. And then he goes before this guy, Pontius Pilate, who actually has the authority to have him executed or released. And again, you think, Jesus, I just feel like if you would just clear up this misunderstanding, if they could just understand your point of view, they would see that you're not who they're making you out to be. And there's a bloodthirsty crowd out there shouting, crucify, crucify, crucify. Like, Jesus, will you please just clear this up? Will you fight back? Like, we want to be on Team Jesus, but we also like winners. And you're not winning. And it's confusing. It's about as confusing as our hope for the future being pinned on a baby. Our problem is not that we need another baby who's helpless in a cradle. Our problem is that the babies that we already have are going to be defenseless against the Assyrian war machine that's coming to swallow us whole, and we have no hope of deliverance. Isaiah, what are you talking about? And he says, no, you misunderstand everything about how power really works. And your human ability and your human imagination and your human initiation, all of those things, they're not going to give you what it is that you need, what it is that you're looking for. Here's what I believe about Jesus as the Prince of Peace. I believe that this peace is real and tangible. I believe there is something called shalom. There is something called peace that we can enter, we can taste, we can find. And it is not found in this kind of, nostalgic, empty, idealistic, pretend everything is fine. And it's not found either in this kind of pessimistic, realistic, everything's going to go to hell and who cares. There's something tangible that you can walk in. And when you find it, there could be chaos all around you. There could be strife, uncertainty, anxiety. And yet somehow your feet are on solid ground. Everybody else seems to be tossed around by the wind and the waves, and you seem to be able to walk on the storm itself because you're anchored in peace and hope to a reality that's beyond your imagination and comprehension, beyond your ability, that is a reality you can live in and walk in and move in, and it can be yours in this Christmas season, and it can be yours outside of Christmas when January 2024 comes in like a storm to steal your situational and temporal peace. All of that can still be yours because you've anchored your heart, your soul, your mind. The Apostle Paul called this peace that surpasses understanding. Jesus talked about having your heart, soul, and mind anchored in a reality where you actually had no reason to be afraid. Think about that for a second. You hear Jesus talk about anxiety, you want to argue with him. Like, are you serious? He's like, Jesus is like, be anxious for nothing. I just want to say, we are so neurotic down here. Like, I'm anxious. How about everything? Can we just swap? Be anxious for nothing. Instead, just be anxious about everything. That seems more human to me. I mean, we worry about all kinds of things. I mean, some of you are up late at night, just your head spinning. And here's the reality. You can't control about 90% of the things that keep you up. Doesn't stop you from trying. You just keep telling yourself that little lie. I'll puzzle this out. If I just sit here and worry about it long enough, eventually I'll be able to get in front of it and fix it. How can you say that? Jesus is not out of touch. He's in touch. He gets it more than you will ever know. He does that because he is the Prince of Peace. And he's inviting you to walk in it. And this is a peace that's very real. It's very tangible. It can be yours. Let's talk this out this morning. First of all, I think this is peace beyond human ability. This situation that they're facing with the Assyrian problem, what's happened here is the human striving and conniving and solutions have actually made the problem worse. Have you done this before? You're like, I'm going to fix it. I'm just going to pick up the phone right now. I got all this conflict, but if I just pick up the phone right now, everything's going to be cleared up. This is literally a debate in my house all the time. This is how arrogant I am. I really believe that any human problem can be solved if we all just talk it out. You're not even laughing. But you don't understand how true this is. That's literally how I believe. I'm like, oh, no, I'll call them. And we'll just sort it out. That's my approach to everything. And if you look at my life, the people who know me really well, you will look back at the moments in my life where I have hit something that just can't be reasoned with. And all of the, I get so anxious about it, and I'm like, no, guys, we just haven't had a meeting yet. Like, if we just have the meeting, there's no problem. And Terraforma's elders will occasionally look at me and say, Justin, you're doing it right now. Like, the story you're telling yourself is you can just fix it with words. This can't be reasoned with. I've had Jamie tell me so many times, Justin, you really believe that you can just, I was with a couple just 2 weeks ago, and they are like going to kill each other. And they're gonna murder each other. There's just like so much tension in my office. Everybody's screaming, and I'm just sitting there smiling. And they both looked at me like, "What? You didn't want to let us in on the secret?" And I'm like, "Guys, there's hope. If we just talk it out, we're gonna get to." And this isn't always a good thing. This is like an overestimation of our ability, and sometimes it just makes it worse. It just mucks it up. It's like, I'm going to fix it. Don't worry about it. It'll all be repaired. No, this is what people were arguing in the day of Isaiah. They were saying, but hey, listen, Syria and Israel, they're a problem. But if we just appeal to Assyria, they'll come in and help us. Benevolent Assyria. The grand overlords of love. Let's welcome them inside our country. It'll be great. And then finally they realize, we didn't mean to do that. This is now a problem. Like, Darth Vader is here. We let him in? Like, you have to understand, human ability, it might not get you to where you need to be. What we're talking about here is peace beyond human ability. Peace that comes from somewhere else, another source. You crave this, you know it's true, and the reason you sometimes think you can achieve the unachievable is because you were built in the image of the one who can. But don't think it's on you. This is the moment where surrender changes the outcome entirely. Where we say, God, I made a mess. Help. That's a prayer every one of you can pray. It's one word long. Help. I need help. I need help right now. I'm going to surrender to this. And guys, this is so awesome. We are the kind of creatures that like to light God's good creation on fire for fun. Okay, God's trying to do something beautiful in this world, and we're like, watch us burn it down. We're so good at destruction. We're so good at chaos. We're little chaos agents running around. It's like God's trying to accomplish something, and we're like knocking over his Legos. It's what we do. But God is better at saving than we are at sinning. God is better at redemption than we are at destruction. He's good at what he does. He's so good at what he does. And how do I know that? Because of you all sitting here. There's a room full of chaos agents who are trying to ruin their lives and stories. God is like, hey, here's what's good. It will lead to thriving and flourishing. And here's what you shouldn't do. It's probably going to create chaos for you. And you're like, let me do these things with reckless abandon and enthusiasm. It'll be fun. It's not fun. It's hurting everyone around you. And we're like, yeah, but I'll fix it. Again, it's not going to work. And yet here we are. Here we are because some of us actually say, okay, in the mess of this all, I need something I can't accomplish. I need peace and help and this beautiful thing called grace. Let me live in that, and I'll surrender to it. And somewhere between the infusion of his grace and mercy and my participation in faith with the invitation of God, we will begin to set wrong things right as the flow of heaven comes to earth through the person of Jesus in our lives and stories. Number 2, this is peace beyond human imagination. Most of the time when we imagine the end of conflict, we imagine winning. Like we're going to win. And when we finally win, then we can finally have what we are looking for, the peace we want. I think that's overrated. I think if you look at history, even if you look at all the conquerors and all the tyrants and all the people who have conquered most of the world, it's happened. You can look back. We've had multiple people over the course of human history who have conquered like the majority of the known world. That's happened. And here's what history will tell us. There's not enough winning to be had to finally make you feel at peace. You could reduce all your enemies to rubble. You could take the kingdoms of your opponents and rivals and burn them to the ground, and you would still feel a lack of peace. I mean, Genghis Khan tried, Napoleon tried. I mean, I'll make you a list. You can look at over history and you can go, oh, look, these guys they did the thing. And did it matter? No, because that's not where peace is found. This is this human imagination of what it would look like for conflict to end. And yet there's something here in the fact that we look at this model for the invasion of peace as a helpless child that grows up to be a willing sacrifice. It's the ultimate loss. And how does this loss translate into victory for all? This is the mystery of the cross. This is the gospel of Jesus. And it's the same story you and I are called to enter and emulate. In 1914, in the midst of World War I, just an awful, awful, bloody, terrible conflict. This is like trench warfare. I mean, you need to imagine the worst thing ever. It was just awful. It was wet. And at this moment in time, it's December 24th, there had been about 4 weeks on the Western Front of cold, freezing rain. And it just was, this mucky, yucky mess. And they had fought to a complete stalemate for actually a course of years between the Germans and the Brits on the Western Front. And you can read about this in journals from soldiers in that time, and it's kind of become like a cultural legend of its own. They call it the Christmas miracle of 1914. And somewhere, like December 23rd, it stops raining. And everybody's like, wow, what a miracle. All Christmas Eve, it's dry. And on Christmas Eve, they're experiencing dry weather for the first time, and sound begins to drift over no man's land from the German side, and they're singing Silent Night in German. And the Brits think, oh, that's a trick. This is like, this is a trick. And then one of them starts singing back. Like, you guys are not going to be the only ones to sing Silent Night. We're going to sing it with you. And some weird choir of enemies locked in an ugly, selfish conflict that no one really understands begins to fill the night sky. And they sing. They sing back and forth all night long. And then in the morning, Christmas morning, somebody from the British side decides, I'm going to go over there. And they get up and they walk into no man's land, which no one ever did. And of course, this is like, taking your own life into your hands and what could even happen. And instead of being gunned down, some Germans get up and they begin to meet in the middle of this battlefield. Enemies yesterday, they'll be enemies tomorrow, but here, there's this really odd peace that we found in the midst of strife. And they exchange gifts and start hugging each other, which just seems weird. And legend has it they played a game of soccer. It took some time to bury the dead, clear the battlefield. And it's like, wow. And this is beautiful because we long for this kind of thing. We long for we have situations in our world right now, and you look at this and you say, this is complicated. I'm not sure I understand everything, but this side and that side, they're in all this violence and all this strife and all this, and there's a mom in each of us that's like, can't you just stop? Could we just stop it? And I understand that's simplistic. I understand it's difficult, and I get it. That's hard. And yet I think that this, 1914 Christmas miracle, it's almost a good metaphor for the coming of Jesus. Here's the difference. In this metaphor, you kind of go halfway into no man's land, and you wait for them to come the other distance. And you're doing that in some of your relationships. You're at some kind of stalemate. You think, well, I've come here, and we'll have peace when they come here. Well, we can have peace. I've come as far as I'm going to come. It's yours now. You come to me. Here's what I love about God. He didn't come halfway and stop and wait for us to come the other way. He went all the way down. We still have not understood the depths to which God will sink to raise you up. We can imagine it. We can look at this. This is the gospel writers for a long time have been puzzling through, how do we communicate the reality of God coming to enter our story? How do we understand the incarnation? How do we tell future generations that this is what it's like for Jesus to close the gap? John, I think, has it best. John looks at this moment in the life of Jesus where their rabbi and teacher with all authority in heaven and earth takes off his rabbi's cloak, puts a towel around his waist, and stoops down to wash the feet of ungrateful, selfish, and proud disciples. And then he takes his towel off and he puts his rabbi's cloak back on and he says, do you understand what I just did? And of course they don't know. Not till later. Not till after the resurrection do they go, oh, that's what he was doing. It's heaven coming down. It's God meeting me where I am in my moment of greatest need. It's God going all the way across, not waiting in no man's land, but crossing all the way over to the muck where I'm entrenched and I am lined up in battle to resist and hold him away. And here it comes. This is peace that's possible because of divine initiation. This isn't something that you and I can achieve, it's something you and I can accomplish. It's that God is coming. God wants to enter your story right now. He wants to find you in the mess of your creation. He wants to come near to you, even though you're resisting and you're fighting and you're striving, and you're probably making a deal right now with the Egyptians to save you from the Assyrians. Maybe not really. That's the reality that we're dealing with. Listen to this. This is Paul. This is how he explains this movement of heaven coming to earth. And we're going to close as I read this. This is Colossians 1. This is the gospel of Jesus. Listen how Paul describes this. For God was pleased to have all his fullness dwell in him, and through him to reconcile to himself all things, whether things on earth or things in heaven, by making peace through his blood shed on the cross. Once you were alienated from God and you were enemies in your minds because of your evil behavior. You're fighting him because it's what we do. Because we think peace will come when we win. And so you're wrestling, you're contending with heaven. And here is heaven coming to you in humility, in love. I mean, God could have crushed our will and stood over us to force us to bend the knee. He could have easily overpowered all of us. I mean, there's a moment where Jesus is being tortured, and his torturers are like, oh, so you're the king of angel armies. Call down some thunder. Be like Elijah or David. And Jesus says, I'm winning a battle here you can't even begin to understand. I'm not going to crush you and make you kneel. I want instead this thing called love that is the surrender of the human heart in an act of beautiful, willful volition to lay down control and trust the one who is in control. I'm after faith. And I will accomplish that not by destroying you and standing over you in victory, but by inviting you in beauty to surrender it all. But now he's reconciled you by Christ's physical body through death to present you holy in his sight, without blemish and free from accusation, if you continue in your faith, established and firm, not moved from the hope held out in the gospel. This is the gospel that you've heard and that's been proclaimed to every creature under heaven, and of which I, Paul, and I, Justin, have become a servant. Let's pray. Jesus, there's something in us that wants to fight, to contend, to win. And yet this peace that you extend before us is found when we surrender, not when we strive. That there's something about you coming into the humility of earth, that you're the king of irony, born in the dust, in a cave, and placed in a feeding trough, in the literal shadow of some illegitimate throne. And that baby rising from the humility of your birth goes on to the sacrificial sacrifice, this demonstration of love as you give it all, you pay it all for us. In this, God, help us to find peace, to look where peace is found, to surrender, to trust, to give control. Thank you, Lord Jesus.
take our frame. The artisan inside the pain. Breathe the very air his breath sustains. The architect inside the pain. Oh, come now, heaven, so